And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, back with another interesting session in which we're going to talk about coffee processing. More specifically, about the probably most important process, the roasting. The roasting turns the green coffee bean into that extraordinary product enjoyed all over the world. My studio guest for this session is Mr. Luca Giberti. He's the sales manager at IMA Coffee Petroncini. Welcome, Luca.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Luca, Petroncini was founded back in 1919 and has certainly seen decades of evolution of the coffee market. But how has the coffee market changed over the years, and how are Petroncini roasters responding to these changes and to the current market trends?
Let's see that from the product point of view, the key factor are the quality, so to take out the best from your coffee. The consistency, so repeat the quality over and over again, and the personalization of the flavor. From the company and the factory point of view, the most important factors are the reproducibility, the high consistency, and energy efficiency, and the environment protection. Let's say that behind a good cup of coffee, there is always a good roaster machine that is able to give you the high profitability with the less energy consumptions. What is changed during this year, mainly, and the customer focus more in, is the system of control. So the system of control evolving years by years. Let's say that we start our IRC profile roasting, integrated profile roasting, in 1994. And we installed the first machine in Chile. And let's say at that time, we were roasting from our home with the modern 48K. The connection was, you can understand how it was, but we did it. So ERC is the developing of our roaster TMR.
Well, the world of coffee roasting really is fascinating, but how exactly does your roaster, the TMR roaster, work, and how exactly is it roasting the coffee, and how much coffee can it handle?
Okay, let me start with the capacity of the roaster. TMR roaster are made in 4 models: TMR 25, TMR 250, TMR 400, and TMR 720. The numbers after the TMR is the capacity per batch. Usually we can consider 5 batch per hour average. TMR 720 is the biggest drum roaster machine actually on the market. And TMR 25 is the scaled down R&D purpose roaster. And whatever we do with this small machine, we can copy and paste the profile in the bigger one, and we can have exactly the same results in terms of roasting time, color, and flavor. TMR roaster is a drum roaster. It's a drum roasted solid drum perforated on the back. The characteristic of this machine is works with only one burner that is totally outside of the machine. And this is allow us to have roasting with 90% convection and 10% conduction. This also is very important. Our TMR roaster works in the pressure to the fan. So we see here that we are in preheating of the machine. And how we control the inlet air temperature is with these 2 flaps. One is the hot air and one is the cold air. So now we see that we are in warming up phase, so the fresh air will be totally closed, the hot air will be totally open, and we heat up all the system until we reach the value of 180. This is the standby temperature. And as soon as the coffee will reach the standby temperature, we see the 2 valves start to modulating. So playing together in order to keep the machine in a standby mode. These 2 valves are very important and very accurate because it's positioned before, just before of the roasting drum, and allow to follow perfectly the profile.
So this system allows for the most homogeneous heat distribution. But what about personalization? How can I, roast my personal recipe, my favorite coffee?
That's also a good question. So the TMR has installed the IRC control, so integrated roasting control. This control allows you to pre-drone the roasted profile that you will do. Now we show you another video that explains how the system works. So there is 30 steps of the coffee temperature. And for each step, from one step to the other, we control the delta time. So the time that goes from one step to the other. And we can create, as you see, by the points, all the roasting profile that we want. And for each step, we can control airflow and the speed of the drum. When we finish our profile, give us a final roasting time, a total roasting time. And I will ensure you that the roasting time will be always the same, no more than 1 second for all production that you will do. Now we start to in preheating mode. So we totally close the fresh air and open the hot air. And the coffee is ready for charging the machine from the system behind. We open the valve and we start the roasting. Again, as I told you, the roaster is a drum roaster. So inside this drum, there is 2 rows of pedals. The lower one push the coffee in front, and the upper one push the coffee back. Plus, we have the rotation of the drum. This allows us to have a very homogeneous and perfect mixing. As you can see on the graph, there are 2 lines. The gray line is the profile that we draw, and the red line is the actual temperature of the coffee. And you see that as soon as the red line starts to approach the set, the 2 valves start to modulating in order to follow the gray line. This is the profile that we set. And also here, we can guarantee there will be no more than 0.5 degree between the set and the real coffee temperature. The machine is also equipped with a very, very efficient cyclone. The chaff cyclone. As you know, during the process, the coffee removes the silver skin. And this is a very critical part of the roaster, because if you stop this, you're going to stop all your process. So behind, on the bottom of this system, we have an easy clean rotary valve that allows you, in case of stop, to open, clean, and come back to operation very fast. And also, there is 3 safety devices. So there is 2 delta P control before and after for control the pressure. There is a infrared for check if something gonna stuck in the pipe, and a monitor control for the motors.
Well, actually, I'm surprised. I didn't know that there was so much technology behind my daily cup of coffee. You mentioned the presence of only 1 burner. So what's the benefit of having just 1 burner? And secondly, I mean, the temperatures are pretty high. Is it safe?
Yes, that's also a good question. The 1 burner, as you can understand, could be a good impact in energy efficiency. Because this burner acts as general power as afterburner or preheater for catalyzer. Another good point of having 1 burner is the reduction of the VOC and reduction of the CO2. And third, having our system of recirculation, there is also a good impact on the maintenance, because allow you to have less maintenance in order to cleaning the pipe. Also here, I show you in a video, so the hot air coming out from the roaster, go to the cyclone, and all the air go back to the chamber. You see the green line because the air come into dirty and come out clean. Depending also, if we use as a thermal afterburner, we go 700 degrees. If you use with the catalyzer, we go 350. So part goes up, out, and part of the clean air go back into the systems. Talking about safety, the machine has a very state-of-the-art safety system. The machine has more than 180 warning and alarms. Machine has a water system in the cooling tank, in the roasting drum, and in the cyclone. Plus, as optional, we can provide a water buffer tank pressurized. And also, we have, as a standard, venting device and CO monitor control for the explosion. We also install, always as a standard, the fire system on the catalytic and on the cool cyclone. Also, all the motors are monitoring. So the motor in the drum, the motor in the cooling tank, and the motor of the fan are always monitoring, because if you have some trouble, we can solve it. Last but not least, let me say that TMR is very, very safe. What also I tell to my customer that if the operator doesn't do nothing or get panic, if it doesn't do nothing, the machine solves the problem by itself. So machine is very, very safe.
And smart, I'd say.
Yeah.
So we have some minutes left for questions from our viewers, as we have received a series of questions. So the first one, is the TMR roaster good for developing non-traditional profiles, like a dark roast, for example?
So that machine is very suitable for non-traditional profile because, as you told you before, having convection and conduction ratio very high, so adjusting the hot air allows us to create the profile as we want. For example, we have a customer, they make a profile that's heat up the coffee up to 140 degrees, stay at 140 degrees for 3 to 4 minutes, and that rise up again. So if you think about it, it's not very easy to do that. But with our TMR, we can do it.
Okay.
And talking about dark coffee, that's also is very suitable for dark coffee because having the fresh air intake, as I told you, act as a brake, we can control to roast very, very, very dark with no risk of fire.
Then the next question, is it possible to make some trials?
Yes, of course. In our factory, in our lab, we have a TMR 25 installed. So the customer can come with their own coffee, we can provide the coffee, we can make different profiling, and also we have the possibility to cap it, to try it and make chemical analysis.
Okay. And the third and last question, what roasting times can the machine reach?
As you know, we sold machines worldwide, in all over the world, and in each country they have different type of coffee. So we can roast from the very light filter coffee up to the very dark espresso or for extraction. So the machine can roast from 6 minutes to 20 minutes. But let's say that if you want to roast in 6 minutes, we have to reduce the batch size. So if we have, for example, in a TMR roaster 720, we should charge 400 kilo for each very fast 6 minutes roasting.
Okay, well now the time is up for this session, so thank you very much, Luca, for being with us.
Thank you very much.
And after a quick cup of coffee, we will be back with our next session. See you soon.
Bye.